Hey guys, it's me again, Dave. Nice to see you once more. So, finishing up talking about The Last Jedi. It's mainly just like closing thoughts and such. I really want to do like a deep analysis sometime. The big problem with that is editing, like I've said before. I had a lot to say, and I was mainly just trying to make it digestible for the few people out there actually watching and listening. And it's sort of a weird transition to go from like, normally I do this sort of thing in a term paper, and so turning that into internet videos, I mean, some of you might be able to tell already by now, I'm not exactly Steve Jobs when it comes to working all this technology, which is weird because I'm actually I work in the tech department for a school district, and it's my job, but that's all like hardware. When it comes to all of these uploads and everything, as you have already been able to see, I fuck it up a lot. I am just really not, let's see what the word would be. It's not as intuitive for me as like the engineering aspect, the actual tech itself. So I apologize for messing that up, and I apologize if these videos were a little rambling. I do appreciate you sticking with me. So my final thoughts on The Last Jedi. Here's the thing. There's a sentiment out there that if you dislike The Last Jedi, you're either a racist or a misogynist, right? And I can get behind that not being the case, okay? Yes, I'll admit that that's a hyperbole. There are some genuine issues that people have with the movie that aren't related to casting or the character of Holdo, right? But at the same time, it doesn't matter how reasoned you want your criticism to be. As soon as you refer to Holdo as Admiral SJW, you've shown yourself to be some kind of moron, right? Because why? Number one, the SJW thing, like social justice warriors, that's really what Star Wars has always been about as far as the heroes go. Like, they're rebelling against a fascist government for why? To like free slaves and stuff. So the social justice warrior thing isn't really as good of an argument as you might think if you're using it as one. But also, like, as far as the SJW thing that people keep putting on to Holdo, like there's nothing in her character to suggest that except the fact that she's got colored hair, which is just a really, like, it's dumb. It's just fucking dumb. And you're dumb if you say that. So, don't be dumb. But yeah, there are some things, and I think it's more about, you know, people's expectations. There's another hyperbole going around of people saying that everybody who hates the film hates it because their fan theory didn't work out. And, you know, there's some of that, but I don't think it's quite as simple as that. It's more like when we were kids and saw Star Wars, right? Like the first time I can remember watching Star Wars, I was around 4. I know I was around 4 because we moved a lot when I was a kid. My dad was in the Air Force. We were always moving, sometimes 2 places in the same year, right? So I can generally pin down a time frame based on where I was living at the time. So I know I was about 4 the first time I can remember watching Star Wars. And I specifically remember that it was Star Wars because I mixed up Star Wars and Spaceballs. and the stuff that happened in Spaceballs wasn't happening on Star Wars, that was making me very confused as a 4-year-old. So I know I was about 4, right? As a kid, as a 4-year-old watching Star Wars, notions like the living force, right? And what I've talked about before, the greater narrative arc of the prequels, the original trilogy, and this latest trilogy, all coming together to tell the greater narrative arc of the evolution of our understanding of the Force, right? That's a little heavy for little 4-year-old Coop to understand. So I saw dude with a sword. The good guy's got the green one, the bad guy's got the red one. They have a sword fight. Good guy wins the sword fight. And then bad guy gets thrown down a big tube. That's what makes sense to a 4-year-old. The thing about the cultural importance of Star Wars, right? Even people who don't like the Star Wars movies are familiar with the Star Wars movies. Star Wars is pop culture now. There's no denying it, right? It's very frustrating when people say they're nerds and talk about Star Wars like they're super persecuted for being into Star Wars. I mean, you can be persecuted for being a fucking dork ass about being into Star Wars. I was as a kid, but it's not Star Wars that's the problem, because fucking most people love Star Wars, even regular ass people. All right. So yeah, Star Wars, pop culture, huge in our culture, right? They put Star Wars on a fucking bag of grapes at the grocery store and the grapes sell. I've never seen a grape in Star Wars in my goddamn life. Everybody likes Star Wars. We have fond memories of Star Wars as we were children, but what I'd like to remind people of is when I was a kid, little 4-year-old Coop watching Star Wars, there was about 9 hours of Star Wars content, not counting like the Ewok movies. About 9 hours of Star Wars content. And that was it. So the rest was up to our imaginations. So like, what does Luke Skywalker do after the rebellion's over? Well, we have to form it in our mind. Even if you're not into the expanded universe books, as a kid, not thinking about the greater philosophical points of the Force, we think about Luke Skywalker being the good guy, being the hero. So what's going to happen? Well, Leia's going to form a government, and Luke Skywalker's going to travel around being a Jedi, probably trying to train more Jedi, right? It's hard for younger people to really grasp it, I think. But like, this was everywhere, and the internet wasn't around, so you might not have seen it as much. But like, all of my friends that, you know, every time we moved somewhere, I made a new friend group. We all had basically the same ideas of what would happen after the movies in Star Wars. Luke becomes a Jedi, Han Solo and Leia get married, Leia becomes the head of the new government. Those are all what the films seem to be leading up to. But those are what the films are leading up to when you're a kid. When you're young, and you're taking in a sort of shallow understanding of the story, right? And the way I put it is like this, okay? In high school, you read Hamlet, right? Or you read Macbeth. And what you get out of those stories is Shakespearean plays about kings usurping thrones, right? And that's what makes sense, is what's in the story. That's what you get in high school when you're young. But then you go into college and you read the same plays. And now Macbeth isn't just about a man who kills his king. Hamlet isn't just about a son exposing his uncle as a murderer. Those plays have taken on a deeper meaning now, because we're able to more appreciate subtext and alliteration, allusion, things like that. So now, those plays are about the struggle between Protestants and Catholics in Elizabethan England. Those plays are about the gunpowder plot, Guy Fawkes trying to blow up Parliament, right? There's a lot of lines in Macbeth that really point to that being a play about Guy Fawkes and why it would be bad for him to have succeeded, right? That's the kind of thing you learn as you go on and progress in storytelling. The problem with Star Wars is Star Wars holds such a high place in our pop culture and in our child memory that we can't really think of Star Wars in those terms. We can't very easily, right, without sitting down and taking the time and forcing ourselves to do it, we don't think about the subtext and the illusion and what's going on in the movies beyond just like, mythic good versus evil, big themes. We get that, but we don't think about what would actually be going on in Luke's mind. How did Luke defeat the Empire? Luke didn't defeat the Empire, as I said in the last time, with a big sword fight. Luke fought the Empire when he gave up control, like Obi-Wan told him to. He let go and trusted in the Force. And yeah, he got the assist from Darth Vader, but one could argue that's the guiding hand of the Force. That's a little metaphysical, but that's the point I was trying to get at, is that, as children, we didn't think about those things. And so now that we're grown, because Star Wars has already become a part of our lives, it's hard to imagine a different way that things could have gone, because we already had it in our head the way that they should have gone, even though that was based on a more shallow understanding of the material. My big point from all of this is that Luke Skywalker is 100% in character in The Last Jedi. The frustrating thing about that is that was supposed to be my big conclusion. I was even gonna do a clickbait title and everything, and then fucking director of Last Jedi tweeted literally the exact same thing just like a couple days ago, after I had already done all my notes and work on all this. He tweeted out that Luke was 100% in character in the movie based on the original trilogy, and I totally agree with that, because that was the whole point of these last 3 videos. But hopefully I've explained a little more than he did on Twitter, that yeah, this is what we saw Luke doing as far as him training to use the Force, becoming a Jedi. He's not a Jedi like we had in the prequels, because those Jedi were not good. That was the whole point of the prequels. The Jedi Order failed. It failed for a reason, and it deserved to fail based on what we saw, right? That doesn't make the Emperor a not bad guy. That means that the Jedi couldn't see the forest for the trees, right? So I hope you guys have liked these analysis and reviews. I enjoy doing reviews and criticism. It's something I really like. If I had to pick anything that I missed about college, as fucking dorky as it sounds, I didn't go out a lot and everything, but I did write a lot of term papers that weren't actually even due. I like doing this kind of thing. So if you want to hear more analysis and critiques and things like that, if you have any ideas for specific properties you want me to look at, books, movies, whatever, go ahead and hit me up with suggestions, because I really love doing them, and I don't mind doing the prep work for them. Other than that, this is our Wednesday update coming in a little late. I did want to apologize for that. I had an issue yesterday with one of my kids. It's not a big deal, but it did result in me not being able to do my update and upload the way I normally would. But everything's fine, so I don't need anyone worrying about that. And then as far as news goes, I've been tinkering a lot with the RPG Maker, and I've been considering for some of my Friday updates, where I normally post fiction that I've been working on as part of the Touchbone project. As I've said in our very first video and in my Patreon introduction, Touchbone is all about artistic collaboration, artists working together, people contributing to a whole. So I'm working on a couple of RPGs, and like I said, it's just RPG Maker. It's not like a super intensive thing, but if anybody's got any input, go ahead and send it my way. If you like working on sprites, if you have ideas for story, I'm working on one that's based on a generation ship from the science fiction narrative that I've talked about, and then I've got one that I'm working on in the world of Babel. You may remember that from the last fiction update I posted on the Patreon last Friday. I posted some backstory, some lore pieces. So yeah, if you have any ideas or any contributions to the RPG projects, go ahead and contact me. I'm easy to find, touchbonemedia@gmail.com. You'll be able to reach me. Go straight to my phone if you have anything you want to contribute. Otherwise, I want to thank you for checking out my videos. I really appreciate it. I know I don't have a huge subscriber base. I'm totally cool with that, because I do have fairly active, for the few people that do show up and watch all of these. There's only like 4 or 5 of you, but you guys are very communicative, and I really do appreciate it. Anyone who's new to these, go ahead and like and share, subscribe. The more people that get into these videos, the more people see them, the more I make off of Touchbone, the better my production quality gets. Right now I'm filming on a secondhand tablet. Video quality and sound quality I know is not very good, but that's the best I can do right now. The more I can get out of Touchbone, the more time and resources I have to make better content. So that's up to you, the audience. If you like what you see, spread what you see so others can see it, right? Like, share, give me those subscriptions. If you want to find out about my new videos before I've posted them to things like Facebook, go ahead and hit the bell icon here on YouTube. You hit the bell icon, it's going to email you every time I come out with a new video. If you don't want to do that, I don't know how hard that is for you, but if you don't want to do it, just Mondays and Wednesdays, that's when I post the new ones. And then fiction on the Patreon page every Friday. Coming up, we've got some more Adam Mason, as I talked about last time. I've been working pretty hard on that one because I'm hoping to finish it up by mid-November. I've already contacted someone about a cover for that, so we can have an actual publishing going out. Speaking of the cover, if you want to check out my friend Kaylee at twitch.tv/KCMcMonster, definitely check out her stream. She is an amazing artist. She does commissions that are incredibly affordable, and if you like art, get some of her fucking art. Alright? Otherwise, have a great rest of the week. I will see you guys tomorrow. Wish it was the day after tomorrow, because I wish this had gone out on time. But yeah, have a great time. I love you guys. Thanks. Bye.